I found an amnesiac on Briar Lane and took her home. She was beautiful, so I lied and said she was my fiancée. She actually believed me, but then her memory came back. She turned out to be a powerful CEO. In the end, she returned to her world, without looking back. But 2.5 years later, we met again. I tried to slip away, but she grabbed me. Fiancé, did you lose your memory too? I saw Chloe Sterling again at school. She had donated Sterling Library. The university invited her for an interview. Miss Sterling, you've achieved so much at such a young age. Why did you choose to invest in education? I want everyone eager to learn to have books to read. It's a wish of mine. Does that wish come from your past? Chloe fell silent. 3 years ago, she lost her memory. Someone dumped her in the remote countryside. She endured the hardest year of her life, and no one knew. I sat in the audience watching her from afar. Chloe looked glamorous, elegant, and cold. I was just a college kid who'd applied for financial aid. We were less than 100 yards apart. Yet an uncrossable gulf stood between us. My roommate stared at her, completely smitten. Wow, she's gorgeous. That's my wife. You mean my wife? Plenty of rich kids go viral online. But someone like Chloe, with looks that put celebrities to shame, she's one in a million. That's why everyone jokingly called her their wife. Hey, heard the rumor that my wife vanished 3 years ago? I heard she was studying abroad, not missing. Ethan, have you heard anything? No. They say she was found in the North Star Highlands. You're from there, Ethan. You didn't hear anything? Nothing. I'm a terrible liar. Luckily, Founders Hall was dim. It hid the guilt on my face. 3 years ago, Chloe wasn't just there. She lived with me. We spent over a year together. At our closest, I held her as we slept in the same bed. But those secrets had to stay buried forever. The interview ended with a Q&A. A student raised his hand. Miss Sterling, we heard you have a fiancé. Is it true you tattooed his name on your body? Everyone loves gossip, and the room instantly came alive. That's off topic. That was Caleb Mercer. He sat beside Chloe as another guest. He was her trusted assistant. Rumor said they grew up together and their families were close. It's true. The tattoo is right over my pulse. She pulled back her sleeve, revealing a single letter, A. The whole room erupted. Caleb was sitting right beside her. Who else could that letter mean? Caleb even looked down shyly, as if confirming it. Good for them. They're a perfect match. I felt nothing. I just wanted to get back and study. Backstage, Student Council President Madison Brooks stopped me. Ethan, perfect timing. Can you grab a guest's coat? I had Burger Barn this morning, and my stomach's killing me. Madison was pale and clutching her stomach. She wasn't faking. She'd helped me a lot with my aid application. I couldn't refuse. But the guest was Chloe. The interview was over. Chloe was already striding backstage. I tried to hide, but it was too late. She turned and spotted me. Her gaze lingered on me. Running now would look suspicious, so I calmly stood my ground. I had a mask on, after all. Chloe frowned and asked, "Are you a student here?" I nodded. "What's your name?" Hayes. I only gave my last name. Caleb stopped her and pulled her away. When she looked back, I was gone. But I hadn't gone far. I overheard their last exchange. Stop looking. His last name's Hayes. It's not him. His eyes look the same. So what if it is? He extorted a fortune from you. I lowered my eyes, trembling slightly. He was right. I got greedy and sold Chloe out. Back then, I used my father's last name and lived in Frost Hollow. How poor were we? We couldn't even afford rice. Mom would pick up spoiled noodles others threw out. She'd wash off the maggots and cook them for us. When I was 17, a massive snowstorm hit. With the roads snowed in, I found Chloe at the village entrance. She sat there in a daze, staring blankly. I walked over and asked, "What's your name?" Chloe. She could barely speak and clearly wasn't all there. I turned to leave, but she grabbed me, pleading with her eyes. Cold. Hungry. One night out there would have killed her. People froze to death every winter in our village. Drunks passed out in the snow and were found frozen by morning. I didn't want to get involved, but this was a human life. I couldn't just watch her freeze. So I took her home. She looked a few years older, so I called her Chloe. She had no ID, like someone had deliberately erased her trail. I went everywhere looking for her family, but got nowhere. That wasn't surprising. Everyone knew how our town worked. Those clerks got their jobs through connections and did nothing. Why would they seriously help us? They told us to wait at home. We waited a full year. So the poor fool settled in with us. I had selfish reasons too. Mom was sick and often confused. In college, I learned it was Alzheimer's. There was no cure. I cared for Mom, studied, and worked odd jobs every day. Once Chloe came, I could at least stop working odd jobs. She was young and strong enough for labor, but she was strange. At first, she bungled everything and complained nonstop. Watching her eat without working made me anxious. Keep this up and I won't keep you. Chloe instantly panicked. Ethan, you can't leave me. I'm your wife. I told her eating our food meant she had to marry me. It was a harmless lie. She was so beautiful that matchmakers kept showing up. Calling her my fiancée was the only way to stop them. Poor people married young where we lived. Teen engagements were normal. When I threatened to leave her, Chloe looked completely helpless. Her face looked cold, yet she stared at me timidly. After that, Chloe worked hard and finally earned her keep. Over time, she began showing an unusual side. One day, some boys bullied me while the others laughed. Chloe saw it while waiting for me outside school. She charged in and dropped one boy to the ground. She fought viciously, aiming every blow at vital spots. She was like a rabid beast. No one could stop her. In that moment, she felt like a stranger. I grabbed her arm and yelled, "Chloe, stop!" She stopped at once and let me lead her away. If Ethan says stop, I'll stop. The boy was covered in bruises. His parents came demanding medical expenses, pushed our struggling family even deeper into debt. That night, Chloe sat miserably in a corner, knowing she'd messed up. When I went to comfort her, her face was soaked with tears. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I was wrong. I won't cause trouble again. Please don't leave me." She cried like a kitten. My heart softened, so I said, "Then behave. I only want an obedient wife." Okay. The next day, Chloe came home with some money. She'd sold her watch. When I found her, she was wearing a very expensive-looking watch. I panicked and said, "How could you sell it? We might need it to find your family." But she beamed at me. "You're my family. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying with you." She'd clearly been cheated. That watch was worth far more. Chloe didn't care. She became obedient and only listened to me. But that boy suddenly became very unlucky. Nails appeared in his shoes, bugs in his clothes, lice in his food. His bike tire blew out and he even fell into a river. How could there be so many coincidences? I looked at Chloe. She just grinned back. Looking back, even then, Chloe had already shown signs of her true self. She corrected my English pronunciation. I asked if she'd studied English. She paused. "I don't know. Have I?" Her memory was gone, but her language skills remained. Mom told me, "Chloe might be from a big city." I said, "Great. I'll go to college in a big city too." Mom looked worried but couldn't crush my hopes. If Chloe was truly a city girl, we had no future. The gap between us was too wide. The day my college entrance exams ended, rain poured down. Our old house leaked badly. My bed got soaked, so Chloe and I shared the floor. We lay so close we could feel each other breathe. "Can't sleep? What if I don't get in?" "You will. City schools have better students and teachers. Even working my hardest, I might not measure up." "Where do you want to go to college, Ethan?" I thought about it. "Washington, D.C. I want to see the National Mall." "Don't laugh. Every country kid dreams of seeing it." "Okay, then we'll go to D.C. We'll take Mom too." "Chloe, what if I don't get in?" "Then I'll take you." Chloe sounded certain. "I'll take both of you." Something struck me right in the heart. At 18, I finally learned what falling for someone felt like. I was so glad she was my fiancée. I hugged her, soaking in her warmth. Chloe stiffened, then gently hugged me back. We simply held each other in silence. And it felt perfect. Looking back, I was blinded by happiness that night. So I missed what was different about Chloe. She no longer seemed confused. Every word was poised and sharp. Her eyes gleamed sharply in the dark. It was the light of her true self. Back in the present, I lingered backstage with the coat. Chloe was raging in the guest lounge. I didn't know why, but she was furious. I peeked through the door and saw Chloe using her heel to grind down on someone's fingers as she said coldly, "Useless." I froze. Was this really Chloe? Was she still the woman who followed me everywhere and promised to stay with me forever? The Chloe who hid in a corner crying over the medical bill? Maybe this was the real her. After moving to DC, I'd read some business magazines. I learned the truth about Chloe. She was 8 years older. She was a sterling heiress, though born out of wedlock. That didn't lessen her status. She wasn't even 30, yet she was already notoriously ruthless. A year ago, she'd personally driven her sister insane and become the sole heir. On paper, I couldn't picture Chloe being so vicious. Seeing it myself felt both familiar and foreign. Maybe I should leave the coat and go. But as I hesitated, the door opened. "Who's out there?" Chloe stepped out, her face emotionless. A chill ran through me. It was fine. I had a mask and a hat. With the brim down, no one could recognize me. I calmly said, "It's for Caleb." Before I finished, a student passing backstage called out, "Ethan, you haven't gone back yet?" The moment he said my name, Chloe seized my wrist. "What's your name?" Chloe stared me down. When I stayed silent, she reached for my mask. Then I spotted my way out. "Jordan, there you are." Chloe let go, looking between me and Jordan Blake. I added, Olivia Reed was looking for you. Oh, okay. I'll go find her. I'll come with you. I dropped the coat and left with him. By pure luck, our names were easy to mix up. I finally relaxed after leaving Founders Hall. Jordan asked, Ethan, what were you saying to Miss Sterling? You were just getting something for her? Really? The vibe between you two was so weird. How was it weird? She looked ready to eat you alive. He was right. Chloe did look ready to devour me. The reason went back to the summer I turned 18. The day my scores arrived, Caleb Mercer came to Frost Hollow. He claimed to be Chloe's friend and had come for her. Mom's prediction came true. Chloe wasn't just from the city. She was a wealthy heiress. How she ended up with us was complicated. Her sister caused an accident. Chloe survived but injured her brain. Rich family politics were truly brutal. At first, I treated Caleb like a guest. But when I realized his name shared a letter with mine, I froze. Back home, everyone used my childhood nickname, even Mom. Only Chloe called me Ethan. I'd always wondered why. Now I thought I knew. Had she been thinking of someone else whenever she called me? Was she good to me because she mistook me for Caleb? Caleb looked sharp in his suit and polished shoes. Standing beside Chloe, he looked like he belonged in her world. The patches on my pants made me look like a joke. Still, when Caleb tried to take Chloe, I asked, is this what she wants? Of course. He crossed his arms and looked down at me. She's a sterling heiress with hundreds of millions coming to her. You don't expect her to stay here and live in poverty, do you? No, I need to see her. Fine, if you insist on hearing it. Caleb, thank God you came. I almost got conned. That beautiful voice was Chloe's. I was sure of it. You heard her. I'm taking her. Caleb handed me a huge sum in hush money. You know the rules. I didn't want that humiliating payoff. But Mom was gravely ill, and we needed money. Chloe had abandoned me. Couldn't lose Mom too. I was crushed, but quickly regained my composure. I weighed my options and decided to get one last thing from Chloe. I said, that's it? It's not enough. Caleb seemed shocked. So you're not as innocent as you look, right? I took her in for this payday. Happy? You're despicable. Then pay more if you want to keep me quiet. Caleb had no comeback. I got a fortune and spent every cent on Mom's treatment. But it still couldn't save her. When my acceptance letter came, she cried with joy. That was the last time I saw her smile or cry. She said, Ethan, study hard. See the National Mall and Mount Rushmore for me. I've been a poor country woman all my life. I couldn't give you much. Please don't blame me. How could I? She gave me everything she had. I was grateful, happy, and I loved her deeply. Later, I moved to DC and saw the National Mall and Mount Rushmore. Then I took Mom's last name and became Ethan Hayes. The name Chloe Sterling gradually faded from my mind. Only sometimes, walking down a crowded street, I'd remember this was where she'd grown up. These sights were ordinary to her. But so what? We'd never meet again. That prediction didn't age well, though it wasn't entirely wrong. I soon put Chloe completely out of my mind. At the next student council meeting, President Brooks said Ms. Sterling had taken everyone's resumes. My heart clenched. Resumes? Resumes? Yeah. No idea what she wants them for. But I knew. They had our names and photos, plus our hometowns and other personal details. To her, I was an open book. Still, I clung to a little hope. Chloe had everything now. Why bother with a broke student like me? After the meeting, we filed out of the office. The guy ahead of me stopped, looking stunned. I asked, what's wrong? Ms. Sterling. I looked up. Chloe was leaning against the hallway wall. I turned to run. Ethan Hayes. Long time no see. Chloe took me to a restaurant. Even the cheapest dish cost a month's living expenses for me. She didn't eat. She just watched me. I didn't hold back. Since I couldn't avoid her, I went with it and filled my stomach first. After a while, Chloe finally asked, why are you avoiding me? That was her first question after our reunion. I bit into some crab and said, come on, Ms. Sterling. You can't be serious. I'm a broke student. You're heir to Sterling Holdings. Our lives don't overlap. So they don't overlap? Huh? The Gilded Table is the best restaurant in town. I know everyone who comes here. I didn't get her point, so I kept listening. Everyone saw me bring you here. Soon, someone will dig into your background and investigate our relationship. Then you won't be able to hide. I wasn't scared. I just smiled. Wow, I've never had crab this fresh. Worth it. There's something even tastier. What? Me. You love money, right? Spend the night with me, and I'll pay you. Does your boyfriend know? I don't have one. What about Caleb? He's just my assistant. Really? You two look ready to get married. Nonsense. The old Chloe would have never spoken to me like that. When our eyes met, some of her fire faded. I mean, there's nothing between us. Marriage is out of the question. Really? Then you're kind of a player. You've let everyone believe it. As I spoke, I spat out a bit of crab shell. Piece landed on Chloe's face. She froze and forgot to wipe it off. I saw no reason to address such absurd rumors. If I had to clear up every rumor, I'd spend all day doing nothing else. Mid-sentence, she stopped in surprise. Right? She'd realized she was explaining herself to me. Someone as powerful and headstrong as Chloe never wasted this many words on anyone. You have a point. I nodded. Good thing I never took a player like you seriously. Selling myself to you for $2 million was the right call. So, are we still sleeping together? Chloe angrily shoved me into her Porsche. She cut the hour-long drive to 30 minutes. Sterling House was dark. The moment we entered, she pinned me against the entryway cabinet. She tore at my collar with her teeth, frantic and impatient. I didn't resist. At the height of it, I said, I want into the executive office. Chloe froze. I repeated myself. The Sterling Holdings executive office. Only well-connected students get internships there. I couldn't get in even if I worked half my life. I don't want money. I want that chance. This was Sterling Holdings. College students would kill to get in. Chloe slowly let me go. Are you serious? Yeah. I smiled. I want to learn at Sterling Holdings. Then I can land a high-paying job after graduation. Crash. Chloe hurled a vase by the door, shattering it. Her hand was bleeding, but she seemed unable to feel the pain. She looked at me nearly in despair. Is using each other all we have left? What else is there? You have other options. Win me over. Take me back. I'll give you anything you want. No, that's too much trouble. I don't want your heart or your love. They're useless. Ethan. Do you even have a heart? It's Ethan Hayes. I took my mother's last name. Oh, right. She died 2 years ago. Right after you left. Chloe, I'm an orphan. I can't afford to have a heart. Do you know how I survived that time? You left first. Then Mom did. Both of you were gone within a month. Couldn't keep Mom. Couldn't keep you. I took Caleb's money. That's right. Because I couldn't afford Mom's treatment. You had all that money, but you left without looking back. What else could I do? The more I said, the tenser the room grew. Blood ran down her hand and dripped onto the floor. I was alone in DC. I had to survive. One day off could mean going hungry. Chloe, I was fighting to stay alive. And you ask if I have a heart? Do you have one for asking me that? Her face went even paler. Her eyes burned red. I thought she'd lash out, that she'd humiliate me like she'd crushed that man's fingers. But after a long silence, Chloe's anger vanished. She lowered her head and said, I'll give you anything you want. Ethan, please be with me. I refused without hesitation. I don't love you. At 18, I'd only felt a brief spark. And it was for Chloe. Maybe because I grew up poor, I'd learned one thing early. Never long for what can never be yours. When Chloe left, I was heartbroken. But I came to my senses fast. Now she wanted me back. How strange. Maybe she'd gotten tired of pretty rich boys and wanted something different. But none of that mattered. I knew we came from different worlds. I only needed to plan my own future. Chloe eventually let me leave. The next day, I got an internship offer from Sterling Holdings. I was swamped. I seized every chance to learn. Friday, midnight, we could finally go home. My coworkers slumped over their desks, scrolling on their phones. Suddenly, someone shouted, Miss Sterling is trending. She says Mr. Mercer isn't her fiancé. Everyone perked up at the gossip. I quietly kept organizing files. Let me see. Miss Sterling says her fiancé is someone else. She hopes everyone stops assuming it's Mr. Mercer. If not Mr. Mercer, then who? Exactly. Besides Mr. Mercer, who else is good enough for her? She says he's a student and can't be named. What kind of student could pull that off? Hey Hayes, you're both students, and that guy's already Miss Sterling's fiancé. Whoa, Mr. Mercer posted on X2. This is juicy. Yeah. Caleb posted a line of poetry. I offered my heart to the moon, but it shone upon the gutter. Clearly Chloe was the moon. Was I the gutter? My mouth twitched. I finished up and headed home. Just outside Sterling Tower, I saw a woman, standing there with roses. My head started pounding. It was Vanessa Cross. Back when I worked at a boba shop, she constantly harassed me. I'd rejected her many times, but she wouldn't quit. Now she'd followed me here. Vanessa was checking herself in a compact mirror. When she saw me, she gave me what she thought was a seductive smile. Hey handsome, I'm here to pick you up. Harass me again and I'm calling the cops. Don't be so cold. Wouldn't dating me be great? I ignored her flirting, and Vanessa got mad. Ethan Hayes, don't push your luck. One little wave from me, and guys like you come running. You've got a mirror. Use it. If that fails, try a puddle. Enraged, Vanessa started grabbing at me. So feisty. Wonder if you're this feisty in bed. From the corner of my eye, I saw someone familiar, coming out of Sterling Tower. It was Chloe, cold and aloof. But before she could step in, I shoved Vanessa away, then dumped my water over her head. Get lost. Touch me again and I'll beat your ass. Chloe stood there, stunned. What? Did she think I'd wait for her to save me? Not anymore. I'd stopped having dreams like that long ago. Vanessa felt humiliated after I shoved her. She cursed and lunged again, but Chloe kicked her down. Chloe looked icy as she pinned Vanessa's hand under her heel. Just like that day. Vanessa screamed in pain. I'm calling the cops. You'll pay for this. Go ahead. I dare you. Vanessa spotted the watch on Chloe's wrist and instantly backed down. She begged through tears. Ma'am, I didn't know he was yours. I'll never bother him again. I was about to leave, but that annoyed me. I'm not hers. I'm my own person. I belong to no one. Chloe glanced at me. She only released Vanessa after Vanessa started crying. Once it was over, Chloe offered me a ride. But she wasn't driving toward campus. Wrong way. Take me back to school. Can you even get into your dorm this late? None of your business. A few years apart and you've gotten tough. Even learned to fight back. I ignored her, but she kept talking. How's work? Tell me if anything's bothering you. And you'll pull strings for me? Yes. Chloe, are you addicted to letting me use you? Yeah. I've made peace with it. Being useful to you is enough. Chloe took me to Sterling House and said she'd drive me back tomorrow. The lights were on this time. Only then did I see how cold and empty her house felt. She suddenly pulled out a first aid kit. I asked, what's that for? Your hand. Don't think I didn't notice. I was surprised. My hand was indeed burned. I'd scalded it getting hot water for a client. But to keep the project on schedule, I said nothing. I'd hidden it all day. How did she know? Chloe took my hand and said firmly, you can't hide from me, Ethan. With me, you can drop the act. She knelt before me. A woman so cold and proud, was incredibly patient and gentle as she treated my hand. I stayed quiet, looking around. Then I spotted a photo. It was Mom and Chloe together. It was taken 4 months after Chloe came to live with us. Someone brought a camera from town, and Mom asked for a family picture. I remembered Mom clutching the prints that day, murmuring, our little family of 3. Chloe happily echoed, a family of 3. Such an ordinary day, yet we could never go back. I missed Mom. Tears welled up, but I forced them back. Wait, how did Chloe have that photo? It suddenly hit me, and I asked, wait, wasn't that photo back home? I brought it back when I went looking for you. You looked for me? After a month in DC, I settled everything and went back. But the house was empty. Walter Boone said, Mom had died, and you'd left Frost Hollow after the funeral. Why did you look for me? Chloe gave me a puzzled look. To bring you to DC. Why else? But weren't you angry with me? I was. You gave me up for $2 million. Chloe let out a resigned sigh. But no matter how mad I was, you were still my husband. What could I do? I'm not your husband. The day you left, you didn't look back. You wouldn't even see me. I wasn't refusing to see you. Back then, I was losing family too. The day Caleb took me away, my grandfather was in the ICU. I was born out of wedlock and treated like dirt. Richard Sterling only brought me home to push Victoria harder. Work harder or your sister gets the reward. Achieve something or your sister gets the company. I was just a comparison. In the end, I got nothing. And I had to tiptoe around Victoria and Margaret's anger. But what could I do? I was the illegitimate daughter. My father cheated, yet I had to pay for it. If I'd had a choice, I'd rather never have been born. In her 20s, Chloe's talent began to show. Victoria could no longer suppress her. Next to Chloe, she looked hopelessly incompetent. That led to the sordid family drama 3 years ago. Victoria set Chloe up. Chloe survived but suffered a head injury. Then she was dumped in the Black Pine backcountry to die. Publicly, they claimed she'd insisted on exploring and deserved what happened. Just as Victoria expected, Chloe was only an illegitimate daughter. Richard Sterling didn't care. The family made a token search, then gave up when it failed. Arthur Caldwell was Chloe's only relative who cared. After she vanished, he fell gravely ill. Arthur contacted Chloe's former aides, including Caleb, and asked them to keep searching in secret. But he didn't have long. Chloe rushed back to DC to see him one last time. Ethan, I'd planned to settle things, then bring you and Mom here. In over 20 years, I'd barely known what family felt like. Except with you too. You were my family. Tears filled her eyes. I knew why. She missed Mom too. Mom had been so good to her. Back when Chloe was vulnerable and people bullied her, Mom always comforted her and stood up for her. Then why did you call me Ethan? I finally asked the question that had haunted me. Was it because of Caleb Mercer? Chloe looked surprised. Why would you think that? It had nothing to do with him. I called you Ethan because that's how you introduced yourself. Ethan was the name that stuck with me. As for Caleb, he and I were only co-workers. I never called him Ethan. That's far too intimate. I wouldn't call a subordinate that. I replayed the past, and something clicked. Caleb played me a recording where you said you'd almost been conned. Chloe frowned and thought for a moment. I meant my former assistant. He seemed loyal, but he'd teamed up with my sister to deceive me. Caleb took my words out of context and made you misunderstand. Her grandfather was dying, so Chloe rushed away, and we missed our chance. Chloe, your tattoo. She rolled up her sleeve, revealed the tattoo, and looked at me solemnly. Ethan Hayes, I love you. I have since the night your exams ended. That night, I decided I'd stay with you forever. The night my exams ended? She smiled. That's another secret. Chloe had regained her memory long before. She knew who she was and what she was, but she didn't want that life back. She only wanted to stay my Chloe. She didn't want to leave Mom and me. If Caleb hadn't come and told her that her grandfather was dying, she wouldn't have left so soon. She'd planned to explain everything to me, but I'd vanished, so she never got the chance. For 2 years, she searched everywhere, unaware I'd changed my last name, so she never found me. Less than 2 weeks after reuniting, we'd cleared up every misunderstanding. But I still turned down her request to get back together. There was no deeper reason. School and my career simply mattered more than love. I kept studying and interning. Later, I heard Chloe and Caleb had fallen out. Turns out they weren't childhood sweethearts. Their families weren't close either. Clickbait accounts had made it all up. Caleb was one of Chloe's assistants and had worked for her a long time. After Victoria's attack, Chloe lost many trusted aides. Caleb stayed because he'd proven loyal, and he quickly rose through the ranks. But he crossed a line by meddling in his boss's private life. A month later, Caleb left Sterling Holdings. People asked why I didn't get revenge. Honestly, there was no point. Better to move on. Life had far more interesting things to offer. A few months later, the whole company found out Chloe was pursuing me. It started during a client meeting. The client was a vain, middle-aged woman with new money. She loved hitting on young male employees. This time, she picked me. She even groped me, but she was a client, so all I could do was dodge her. Chloe happened to walk by and saw everything. Chloe Sterling was notorious in business circles for her temper. She stormed in and yanked the woman's hair. Chloe never held back, and the woman couldn't take it. To protect the company's image, I rushed over and wrapped my arms around Chloe's waist. Stop. Chloe's anger vanished. She lowered her arm, then turned and smiled at me. Okay, whatever you say. That smile stunned the entire company. Everyone knew Miss Sterling was cold and unapproachable. No one knew she could be this gentle. Just like that, I became famous. Everyone at Sterling Holdings knew my name. My name matched the tattoo and I happened to be a student. The answer was obvious. Later, I asked Chloe, why are you always hitting people? I don't like hitting people, but sometimes the law can't stop them. Then a beating is the only option. I won't let my employees be harassed. Not even by a client. I stared at her for a long moment, then said, you're pretty great with your memory back, too. Chloe smiled knowingly. My internship was almost over, and I'd decided what came next. I pointed to the vast North Star Highlands on the map. After graduation, I'll go home and help lift the region out of poverty. Okay, I'll go with you. I can bring some projects there too. And donate school buildings and books for the village kids. Wait, did you donate our library because, obviously. She rested against my shoulder, her expression soft. I'll never forget you reading by a single beam of light in the dark. The way you focused on your book. That was the first time I fell in love. I grew fast at the company. When my 6-month internship ended, our department planned a retreat. Sterling Holdings spared no expense, especially after hearing it was my send-off. Our department head approved a huge budget so everyone could have fun. Since it was winter, Morgan suggested climbing Silvercrest Mountain. Chloe came too. By then, everyone at work was used to it. Wherever I was, she was never far away. Silvercrest was beautiful, but then trouble struck. That night, while everyone cooked at Silvercrest Lodge, a coworker asked, Miss Sterling still isn't back? Chloe left at noon and hadn't returned. It looked like snow was coming. Panic hit me. Once the snow came, the mountain would close. Where did she go? Is she safe? I'm going to find her. Several coworkers and I searched for half an hour, but found no sign of Chloe. I grew even more worried. Cell service was terrible in the mountains. Calls wouldn't go through. At dusk, a local pointed me in the right direction. He'd seen a beautiful tourist near the trailhead. I ran there at once. From a distance, I spotted Chloe. She sat on the ground, covered in snow. It looked eerily like 3 years ago. The day we met, she'd sat just like that in the blizzard. For a second, I thought something had happened again. Chloe. Chloe. The wind swallowed my voice. She didn't move. Panicking, I shouted, Chloe. She suddenly looked up, a faint smile on her lips. Ethan, what are you doing here? I was worried sick. Why are you out here? I came looking for a plant. The locals said it sprouts through the snow. It's tough. Like you. She carefully opened her hands. Inside was a snow-covered sprout. Leave it here. If the snow melts, it won't survive. Don't take it. Okay. Chloe obediently replanted it. Before the next squall hit, I held out my hand. Come on, Chloe. Let's go back. Chloe and I held hands the entire way. The summit will glow gold at sunrise tomorrow. Want to see it? Yeah. Want to watch it together? Of course. I'll wake you at dawn. No need. We'll watch it together in our room. Took Chloe a moment to understand. Then she nearly jumped for joy, completely losing her composure. Good thing no coworkers were around. Still, seeing her like that, she looked exactly like the fool I'd known. We returned to Silvercrest Lodge and told everyone we were safe. It was late and everyone soon went to bed. The moment the door closed, Chloe rose onto her toes and kissed me. Her lips were still cold from the snow. I've wanted to do this since the night your exams ended. Of course, we missed the golden sunrise the next morning. But that was okay. We'd have other chances. After the North Star Highlands project launched, Chloe and I got married. The wedding was small. I liked things simple and she let me decide everything. At the wedding, Chloe broke character and cried harder than I did. She said, I have a home now. I said, so do I. Two lonely souls wandered through time and finally found each other. The morning after our wedding, Chloe wasn't beside me. The famously icy CEO was in the kitchen wearing an apron. We had just enough ingredients left for 2 bowls of egg noodles. Mom's egg noodles had always been my favorite, but I could never recreate her flavor. Only Chloe had truly learned Mom's recipe. Steam rose from the pot, carrying a simple, comforting aroma. Suddenly, I missed Mom more than ever. In that poor village, she'd given me endless love and patience. She had no education, yet pushed me to study every day. She went hungry, yet ran everywhere to borrow books and school supplies for me. Her love gave me the courage to fight my way here. Mom, I have a family and a career now. Can you see me? The steam reddened my eyes. Chloe wrapped her arms around me from behind. Ethan, I'm your family now. What makes a home? Not a luxury sports car. It's us together, from dawn to dusk, watching smoke curl from our kitchen.